I'm Dr. Max Botner. I'm a biblical scholar and professor of biblical studies at Jessup University in Rockland, California, and Multnomah Biblical Seminary, where I teach a range of courses all the way from introduction to the Bible to more advanced exegetical courses on books of the Bible and special topics, both in English and in Greek. This book is for undergraduate students and really anyone who is looking to deepen their understanding of the New Testament and biblical interpretation. The first is that the book is built around a 14 or 15-week semester course. So there are 7 units built into the book that provide a nice scaffolding without, I hope, being overly prescriptive. The second is that I've written it in such a way that I hope is engaging for students and really invites them to find their own interpretive voices. It would be my delight to hear that this book is opening people up to conversations. That's really the heart of it, and that's what it's designed to do. And I think professors will find that it has plenty of resources for eliciting good conversation in the classroom and outside as well. The first is that it focuses on kind of the grounds of biblical hermeneutics, which I argue, following St. Augustine, who's following Jesus, is a hermeneutic of love. That the goal of reading scripture is to build up the love of God and of neighbor. And so that reading or interpretation of scripture is ultimately about becoming. The second feature I would highlight is that this book translates current scholarship on genre and linguistics for today's college student. So this book tries to strike a nice balance with drawing on the best resources we have, but doing the work of translating that for beginning college students. The third feature I'd point to is that this textbook combines what have traditionally been 2 separate fields or disciplines within biblical studies. Your introductory to the New Testament course, where you give student background material on the world of the New Testament, then you walk them through the various books and critical issues. The second, your interpretation or hermeneutics course, where you take the ground knowledge that you have about the content and context of the New Testament and then apply interpretive principles. This book merges those 2 things together, and I think that's advantageous for students. It's also necessary in our current day and age where a lot of biblical studies programs are having to condense courses. The final feature I want to highlight is that this book provides a model for what I call canonical conversation. So I'm introducing students not only to principles for interpreting discrete passages in the Bible, but also how to put it all together for thinking about the canon as a whole and how the various witnesses within the canon participate to tell one larger story. One is really important to me is every chapter ends with prayers from scripture and prayers from church tradition. I want students to know that their academic study of the Bible is an act of worship. The second is that every chapter includes several references to primary sources and excerpts from primary sources. I try not to go over the top because this is an introductory textbook, but I do have many quotations from ancient writers so that students can get a sense of how the ancient world sounded. Also from church traditions, they can get a sense of how people throughout church history have sounded when they interpret the Bible. Every chapter also includes at the end discussion questions. I think you'll find them really beneficial for eliciting conversation, and they can easily be incorporated into an online discussion format as well. And then lastly, our exercises. Every chapter includes different exercises. I'll highlight just a couple. One is I've used for years. It's something I got from a colleague called self-awareness essays. It invites deep reflection on what it means to be a biblical interpreter and helps students appreciate the various ways in which they've been shaped and where they want to go as they continue on in their journey. The other one I'd mention is the exegetical worksheets, historical analysis, literary analysis, detailed engagement with the discourse of the text, intertextual analysis, canonical analysis. All of these different things are broken up into exercises that students do throughout the course. I currently work in a context that spans across different Christian denominations, including many students who are coming from a Roman Catholic tradition, as well as some who are coming from Orthodox traditions. So it's very important to me in creating a textbook like this that it is broadly Catholic. Of course, I am a Protestant, and so that does shape how the book is laid out, but I've aimed to be as broadly Catholic as I can in the way that I present the material and invite students into conversation. When I do give my opinion, I try to do it in such a way that it's just that. I'm showing students my process, how I arrive at conclusions, but in a way that hopefully models the 3 interpretive virtues that I set out in chapter 1. Clarity, critical reflection, and above all, charity or love.